Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Welcome to the show, Ask the Cheeseman. This is episode 75, and let's kick off the intro.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. G'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. And there I am. Well, there you go. Like I said, episode 75 of Ask the Cheeseman. And yes, just a note from Charles Z. He says he hopes the party went well last week. Well, it did. So the big news that I have this week is now that I am semi-retired and I'm a full-time YouTuber, as well as a partner with Kim in our small business, Little Green Workshops. So kind of not really semi-retired. I'm probably working just as hard, if not harder. I found Kim's a taskmaster, that's for sure. And she's listening, of course, as always, and moderating the show. So big shout out to Kim. Thank you very much for all of your patience while I was working for the man and not for us. But now I am, and I feel really good about that. Got a few people to say g'day to. First of all, and in the way of members and patrons, we've got a new member this week, a financial member, and that is Van de Veer Beige, I think that's how you pronounce it, Baige. Thank you very much for your membership on YouTube. And if you want to join YouTube memberships, all you have to do is, that way, down the bottom there's a join button underneath the video somewhere, and usually I think it's about $4.99 US, and that converts to whatever it is per month, and you get a whole bunch of early video releases and all that sort of stuff. Patrons, I got 2 new patrons this week. Elu Seth, I'll say Mom Pit Seth. Thank you, Elu. And we've got Azazel. Thank you very much for your patronage over on Patreon, where you get different tiers of perks for however many dollars you throw my way every month. Anyway, we've got some g'days to say. First, we've got hello to Thomas, Tutu, BWG. We've got Montana. We've got A1 through 8. We've got Brian, Charles, of course, Amy, Mustafa, Guy Gam, Craig, hello Craig, and Noor. We got Roa and Geordie, g'day, and Chris, who is actually, you can see he's got a little membership. He's got a little membership icon there. So Chris is actually one of the members on YouTube. And hello to everybody. So we've got about 33 people watching by the looks of it, and that is fine. So on the video front, videos this week, we've got Blue Gouda, which is a creation of my own, so that should be interesting. Basically what I've done is made a Gouda using my normal recipe, and then I added up front with the starter culture some Penicillium roque 40, a strong variety of that, and I didn't pierce the cheese, so I wanted a blue flavour without any veins and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll turn out okay. I've also, after many thousands of requests, I've made some Limburger, and that video is still being worked on as it goes through its different stages, so that should be pretty cool. And Leerdama, which is a Dutch version of Emmental, very similar to that, but there's a few variations on how you mature it. So that's currently undergoing stages of production at the moment. And this week sometime I've got to get around to filming a Keflatiri taste test. We're going to be having some Saganaki or Keflateri in Saganaki. So that'll be very cool. So that's videos coming up. Like I said, the one for this weekend will be Blue Gouda, and I'm currently working on that in post-production now. Got some questions, of course. Steve's there as well from Kurt Harp HQ. Very good. And those who would have seen my last video was about Kurt Harps and where you can get them if you're in the US. One thing I'll ask Steve, I'm not sure if we've discussed this before, and that is maybe sending some over my way. I'll pay for them, of course, and I'll sell them into my shop. But we'll discuss terms later on. That would be good. Wobbly Boost, g'day. Rick has a question. Let's have a look. Hey, Gavin and Kim, I made feta from your kit. It's delicious, but the curd broke down a bit during stirring, and the resulting cheese was squishier than I expected from feta and tasted... Is there any more? Tasted more like cottage cheese until I put into flavour-infused oil. Did I do something wrong? Yeah, I think if it's your first cheese ever, then it may have been waiting for the curd to set properly, and the 5 minutes where you allow the cheese to heal, the curds to heal after you've cut them. Really essential steps. Really test the curd for a clean break, either using your finger or the knife, and then twist it and pull it up. If it doesn't pass the clean break test, then it does fracture when you're stirring, and that's no good for anybody, and you'll get a cheese that's not so very similar to what you're after. So, unfortunately, that's all I can think of at the moment, Rick. Chris says, so good to be acknowledged, no problems. Moses, and Chris threw me some more money, $4.99. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. Moses says, is it profitable, though, to be a household cheesemaker? I don't know. I don't make cheese for profit. I only make cheese for personal pleasure and to show you guys on YouTube. So that's what I do with my cheese. I don't know if it's profitable to make cheese for sale at home, but if you're talking about making cheese just for your family instead of buying it, yes, it is a lot cheaper, and you can make so many different varieties, as you've seen through my different videos. You know, I would have never have gone out and bought cheeses like Limburger Brick, because I just can't get them here. Aged Gouda, aged cheddar. Oh, you can get aged cheddar here. It's pretty easy to find that. But some of the other weird and wonderful cheeses that I've made, things like Oaxaca, you couldn't get Mexican string cheese here in Australia. There's no way. So as far as being profitable for having to buy those and maybe import them, then yeah, it is certainly very profitable. So that's really good. So I hope that answered your question. Ronald, good morning. Charles says, I can get M101 from a local home brew shop. I noticed you use MO30. Are these interchangeable? And what does the numbers after the M mean? Basically, the numbers after the M, thank you, Montana. Appreciate the super chat as well. Don't know why it hasn't appeared in the top little bit. The M means mesophilic, of course. The numbers after it are proprietary numbers given by the companies that make them. There's no rhyme or reason to them. It's just the way that they categorize their cultures. So they don't mean anything at all. Now, M101, let me just, I've got a chart. I'll just see if I can find it quickly, and I can bring that up. Let's have a look. I'm under pressure now, so I'm probably going to make a mistake. No, can't find it. Oh, hang on 1 second. I think I know where it is. There we go. All right, I'll bring it up on my second video monitor. 1 1 second, and we'll go to the second monitor. Okay, so here's a cultures guide. I found this at Mary Carlin's website, who wrote a really good book called Artisan Cheesemaking at Home. So we're looking for what? M100. There it is. So down here, I think you can see it on the screen. So M100, there we go, or MM100 or MM101, same thing. So it's a mesophilic by Danisco. Let's choose it, and it's got Lactobacillus Lactococcus lactis and Lactococcus Lactobacillus lactis cremoris, and LD. What the heck is LD? Let's have a look. What does LD stand for? Somewhere down the bottom. It has a legend. LD is Lactococcus lactis lactis biovar diacetylus, which is actually, and I'll just come back to me, it's actually one of the two cultures that are also in aromatic mesophilic culture. So it's a cross between a normal mesophilic and an aromatic mesophilic. So it'll actually make the cheese a little bit, it'll have a little bit of a buttery flavour, very similar to Havarti, which I think I used aromatic mesophilic for as well. So yeah, so that's what that culture means. But yeah, I've got lots of resources like that, so pretty cool. Okay. Next question. Oh, Montana, thank you very much. You're getting very excited there with the super chats. I really do appreciate it, of course. So let's have a look. Rick says we'll have another go. All right, no problems at all, Rick. I think I've missed one somewhere. Oh, John says, "G'day, Gavin. My wife wants to know if I could make a lactose-free farmhouse cheddar style. What do you think?" From Vicksburg, Michigan. No, I don't think so. So any of those non-fresh cheeses, so anything that's aged over, say, 3 weeks, you tend to get the lactic bacteria converting the sugars that are left, the glucose and the galactose, into alcohol. So it doesn't convert it into lactic acid. So we actually found, Amy and I, when we did the very first lactose-free cheese, we did a Caerphilly style, and it tasted nice, but it also tasted a little bit, as Amy said, winey, like a white wine. A little similar hint of flavour there. So I do believe that if you age it any longer than, say, 3 weeks, then it's going to have totally different flavour than what cheese normally would have. And certainly a different bouquet as well. So I wouldn't go past anything other than the Caerphilly, which, it's a great little cheese. Try that one out instead of the farmhouse cheddar style. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you haven't made it already, John. BWG says, your mouth seemed to be burning up while that after that triple pepper jack. I've never had pepper jack. Is it quite hot, mild, or strong? Would like to have it once, anytime though. Normally pepper jack's not that hot. But when I actually added that, the chili oil to the outside and the rub and the extra chili on the inside, yep, it was pretty hot. So yeah, bit crazy. Christopher says, thanks for putting up the video on the curd harp. That's huge. Yeah, it was a good little collaboration between Steve and myself. So I was very happy that it all seemed to work out all right, and Steve's seeing a little bit of business out of it. So yeah, I think it was all a good result all round, and it was great for the community who were always struggling to find a curd harp, especially in the US. I had so many requests out there. Since I put that up, I've had so many requests from Australians as well. So I've got to come up with a solution there. So we'll have a chat to Steve offline, and I know he's got a sore shoulder at the moment due to some surgery he's had, so we'll have a chat about it. 13BM90 says, hi, Gavin. Thanks for the great channel. Oh, thank you. Do you know of any professional cheese making courses in the Sydney area? I love your tutorials, but I meant to take a step further than just a hobby. Um, yes, I do. There's a guy called Graham Redhead. Hang on, I'll just bring up his website. Da, 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 da. Graham Redhead, and he makes cheese. I'll bring it up on the second monitor in a second once it comes up. Okay, and look, I don't mind telling other people I just can't get up to Sydney to teach, up to New South Wales. So let's go to the second monitor, shall we? So that's Graham there. You see his picture. He does courses. Let's have a look. He's got one in Sydney coming up soon this weekend. And he travels all around the place. There's an intensive, as you can see there, in November. So the URL, and it's pretty cool, he's got it, is cheesemaking.com.au. So he does courses and he travels around. A really knowledgeable guy. Quite a few of the Aussies that I talk to in the Facebook group Kurds and Way Down Under. We do, well, Graham, I think Graham's a member of the group as well, but a lot of people have been on his courses, and he offers a more intensive cheese experience than I can. So, but I don't mind. I think he's doing a great work out there. So I hope that helps. That was from 13BM90. And Steve says, let's talk indeed. Yes, we will, Steve. Rick says, oh, thanks. Give it a go. Yeah. What is white coating? White coating on cheese. If you're talking about molds, it's Penicillium candidum. If it's a plastic coating on hard cheeses, which you can find occasionally underneath wax or without wax, it's called PVA, polyvinyl acetate, which is a food safe plastic thing that's liquid, and you can paint it on with a brush and you coat the cheese with it. It also has antibacterial properties and stops molds and stuff getting onto your cheese. So I hope that answers that. Brizzy Girl, good evening, Gavin and Kim and everybody. Good evening, Brizzy Girl. Brody says, Gavin, long time viewer, first time messenger. It's fantastic you've jumped in the chat. It's great. Firstly, thank you so much for your incredible insights. I just wanted to ask, I've tried making a Budakaiser, which is maturing but is very white. Can you provide some advice on what perhaps has gone wrong? Thank you kindly. Look, milk cheeses usually tend to go from white through to yellow. It depends on the milk you've used. Really does. It depends on how much beta carotene is in the cow's milk. If you use goat's milk, then your Budakaiser will stay white because there's very little beta carotene in goat's milk or sheep's milk. So those cheeses tend to stay very, very white. So cow's milk, like I said, through the season that it's being milked, it can have various amounts of beta carotene. So maybe that's what the answer is. Maybe. Zaid says, I'm looking for cheese that can be used for Cunafar Arabic sweet. I don't know what that is, but I'll quickly look it up because I can. It is, let's have a look. Let's go to monitor 2. We're doing a lot of that today. It's an Arabic sweet, and it looks like it's most celebrated cheese in the Middle East, filling with cream, cheese, fruit soaked in a sugar syrup. Oh, let's have a look at a recipe. Ooh. Don't know if it's an authentic one, but we'll have a quick look. Anytime, internet. There we go. That looks nice, doesn't it? What cheese does it use? It's got noodles in it too. Lebanese cheesecake. Doesn't say much at all. Recipe. Oh, that's where we're up to. Dough, shredded dough. Where's the cheese? Ricotta. So it uses ricotta. Okay, that's the only cheese it uses. All right. Don't know why it looks stretchy there though, but must be this special phyllo dough, whatever that is. Anyway, let's get out of there and get back to me. So, yeah, ricotta, very simple to make. There's videos on the website. So if Kim can put a video up for ricotta, either it should be whole milk ricotta, please, Kim, when you get a chance. And that'll help Zaid. Matthew says, "Hi, Gavin. I'm a new subscriber from Colorado in the US and new to the cheese making world. I have a question about temperature. How do you maintain temps during long periods of wait? Are we talking about during the milk process? So, what I do, there's a couple of ways you can do it. So, keeping the temperature of the milk the same during making cheese. Milk tends to hold its temperature very well and doesn't fluctuate too much, maybe 1 or 2 degrees when you've turned the heat off over an hour period. So it's pretty cool stuff. So when I get my milk up to the target temperature, I essentially turn the heat off, add the cultures, let them sit for about 45 minutes, check the temperature after that. And the temperature rarely drops down by a degree or so, which is pretty cool. And then if I need to heat that up a little bit before I add the calcium chloride and rennet, I don't very often, but if it's dropped more than 1 or 2 degrees Celsius, then I will. And then just if I need to, just adjust the temperature with a bit of heat. But I don't directly heat the pot. There's a video that I've got out there talking about heating milk during cheese making. So if Kim can find that and pop that up, that'll help Matthew out. Tutu says, is there a guideline on pressure PSI needed for hard cheeses? Wider diameter molds must need more weight to apply pressure for more surface area. Indeed, it's a very complex question. So what we have to do is calculate the surface area of the pressing plate, and you can use a very simple equation, which is area equals pi radius squared. I haven't got it up there, and that'll determine the surface area in whatever measurement you want to do, whether it be inches or grams or kilograms. So then you figure out the surface area of your pressing plate, and then you can apply how much force you need to per square centimetre or per square centimetre or per square inch to get PSI. Hopefully that helps. There is a lot of information out there how to get the surface area and how to apply pressure to various sized pressing plates and stuff like that. I don't have anything on my website. It's a good example, actually. I need to write down something about that. So, pressing weights. Now, for that, the press that I use a 50-pound spring. It only has a surface area of about 2 inches or an inch. So when it's fully closed, it actually takes 50 pounds of weight to close the spring. So because it's on 1 square inch, on the spring has contact 1 square inch of the pressing plate, that means that 50 pounds per square inch is applied to the pressing plate. Because I'm not applying it to the whole pressing plate as a whole. I've reduced the size of the thing that has the weight on it. So I could go on, but I think that's how it works. I've read information in books, and that seems to be pretty good. And you can see when the spring is fully closed on my cheese press, I'm doing it for harder cheeses like cheddar, Wensleydale, Cheshire, all of the English sort of cheeses that need a really tight rind, and cheeses are hard Italian cheeses like Granda, Padano, Parmesan, Romano, and those sorts of hard Italian cheeses. Okay, I'll move along. What a typical time says. Have you tried Swedish Västbottenost? Västbottenost, which means Västbotten cheese. It's my favourite. It's a hard cheese, hard cow's milk cheese with tiny holes and a firm granular texture. Salty, tastes similar to Parmesan but more bitter, aged 12 months. No, I haven't heard of that one. I'll see if I can find a recipe somewhere. I'll just write it down. Vaster Boten, maybe? Boten sauce. There we go. I'll look it up. Okay. Mustafa says I have to go to school now. See you later, Mustafa. Yeah, watch it tonight. Right now. Oh my goodness, there's so much I haven't got to. Okay. Amy says I bought. Sorry. Thanks again, Montana. She's got a question. If your rennet is the wrong strength, how do you rectify this? And can it still make a strong curd? Yeah, so typically there's really only two real strengths. Well, liquid rennet comes in two real strengths of rennet, and that's single strength rennet, which is around 200 to 240 IMCU, or International Milk Coagulating Units. And the other one is double strength, which is about 400 IMCU. I know that in the US, who sells it? New England Cheesemaking Co. sells both single strength and double strength rennet. Tablets are totally different. You really got to follow what's on the packet. I know that some of the tablet rennets that I sell two types. There's a Mad Millie one. Each tablet coagulates 4 litres of milk. And then another tablet called Fromage 50 coagulates 50 litres of milk per tablet. So it's a lot stronger. The IMCU is a lot higher, so it's a lot stronger. So yes, if you can determine what the strength of your rennet is, you'll be able to figure out. So for 10 litres of milk, usually with single strength rennet, you only need to add about 2.5 millilitres per 10 litres, and that will coagulate your milk adequately. So try and figure it out from there, Montana. I think that's a good enough explanation. Amy says, I bought a cheese making kit from Mad Millie's. Now I have to bite the bullet and make some. What cheese would you recommend? Depends on the kit that you bought. Look, start off with something really basic and try ricotta and paneer, two very simple cheeses. And then if your Mad Millie kit's got some rennet, then try some halloumi, which I know the fresh cheese kit has halloumi in it, and I think you can do it with the artisan cheese kit as well. But yeah, so try those. Nice, simple cheeses, easy to make, and they do taste delicious. Kim has found this on Google. Which cheese is used in kunafa? And it's mozzarella. Oh, okay. There's no mozzarella on my list. Oh, well. Not the real one, obviously. I didn't have the real one on mine. All right. Thank you, Kim, for that. Appreciate it. George says, hello, Gavin. Love your work. I have a new goat and I'm looking to start making cheese, butter, whatnot. Any tips? Yeah, for goat's milk, you'll get a higher yield, a lot higher yield. And just another tip around goat's milk. Hang on, I'll just checking a resource I'm using here. It talks about goat's milk. So goat's milk has a lower pH than what cow's milk has, and you'll need to reduce the amount of rennet when using goat's milk. I certainly find that you do need to add calcium chloride to goat's milk, even if it's raw, to help it set a better curd. It sets a bit of a sloppy curd because it's kind of naturally homogenized. The fat globules are a lot smaller than what cow's milk is. So, yeah, you got to add calcium chloride to get a good curd set. That's what I find when I use pasteurized goat's milk anyway. So, And I have used raw goat's milk before in the past as well, and I have found that I had to add calcium chloride because um, the first batch of that milk I used, the curd set was really sloppy, and I fixed that up with calcium chloride afterwards. I had to throw away a batch, so it's no good. Um, so there's some tips on what to do, and the temperatures are usually a little bit lower as well. The target temperatures that you work the cheese at. NKY Homesteading, Jason, have you ever had a cheese with saffron? I had a bunch of it, and I was wondering what type of cheese might be best to try it with. Um, no, I haven't tasted cheese with saffron before. Makes me feel like it sounded like a bit of a newbie, doesn't it? What would I add it to? I think I'd add it to some of the cheddar styles. That would have a good flavour profile. Um, Maybe even Edam. I would add it to, and possibly Gouda. There's a few thoughts there. I think that'd help, and that would. I'll put my pencil down. I think they would really take on those flavours well. I have heard saffron is an acquired taste, and a little bit goes a very long way. And expect your cheese to go a lovely shade of orange as well. Okay, um, keep the goat away from onions is a tip. Okay, Felicia says, "Hi Gavin, how do you measure how much salt left in the brine after using it?" There's actually an instrument which I can't remember the name of, that measures salt content in water. Usually, what I do is a cheese will absorb about 2 tablespoons of salt during its brining time, on average. So I simply replace it with another 2 tablespoons of salt, and make sure that dissolves. If there's some salt on the bottom, it's actually oversaturated, so it'll only absorb up to 26% salt per water. Um, so if you're looking for an 18% brine, then you may go over that. If there's salt sitting on the bottom, then the brine's a bit too strong, maybe. And you'd have to adjust your brining time or add some fresh water to it, and that'll bring it down. But float an egg. Get a raw egg, pop it in, and if it floats and you see a visible circle, which is about 2 centimeters in diameter, then you know you've got a 18% brine solution. So I hope that helps. BWG, your mouth seemed to be burnt. Oh, didn't we do this already? Maybe. Uh, would like, yes, I think you've already said that, BWG. Anyway, Felicia says, because I use brine for my first batch of halloumi and the next one, I like saltiness of the first batch. I want my second one of the same saltiness. I use 75 grams of salt per 1 litre of whey. Let me think. For 2 litres of water, I add 450 grams of salt. That gives me 18%. So it sounds a bit light. Yeah, so half of 450, 275. No, sorry, 175. I'll get it right in a minute. My brain's not working at the moment. But yeah, it seems a bit light on with the salt. Anyway, Roy is the next person who has a question. Hi, Gavin and Kim. Just wondering, I've got a Stilton that looks really good. Is it okay to freeze the mould when I scrape it off? And if so, how much should I add to my next cheese? Yes, you can freeze the mould, definitely, because most freeze-dried penicillium roquefortis are frozen. So add it in get yourself one of these, a little sample jar, and put your penicillium roqueforti in that and pop it in the freezer, and that'll keep it sterile. As much as you can grab, I think. But when you add it back into your cheese, you really only need about an eighth of a teaspoon, possibly a quarter, depends on how much you've scraped in there. Dissolve it in milk first, so it'll dissolve just in a little quarter cup of milk that's room temperature. Just dissolve it in that and then add it to your batch of milk. So that'll work. Roy also goes on to say, which I haven't read, will it need rehydration? There you go. Yep, I've already answered that. Thank you, Roy. Eric says, love your channel. I think I managed to watch every video so far. Well done. I think there's over 200 and, oh, I won't look, 270 videos now. Getting close. I'm nearly getting close to 300. I'll get there eventually. Eric does have a question, though. Does a wax layer on a cheese let air and humidity pass through it when aging? Not really, but it doesn't let air in, that's for sure. Humidity keeps the wax supple. So, yeah, so it'll keep the wax supple and it won't stop. It'll stop the wax from splitting and cracking and that sort of stuff. Okay. Saeed says, my milk curds always turn out very soft. Any reason? Add calcium chloride would be my suggestion. Matthew says, yes, I meant the milk. Yes, okay, good. I got the answer right. George says, can I use yogurt and buttermilk for cultures? Yes, so when I made the triple pepper jack, I used buttermilk. So I used 250 millilitres, which is 1 cup of buttermilk per 10 litres of milk. For yogurt, you can indeed use yogurt as a thermophilic starter culture, but the end result may taste a little bit yogurty. It does there are some extra cultures in there that are not normally used for cheese making, but at a pinch you can use yogurt and add that, let me think, it was a little bit less. It's about 170 grams of yogurt for 10 litres of milk. So try that. They work. I've done them myself. I've made a provolone using the yogurt method, and I've made the triple pepper jack using buttermilk as the mesophilic. Thank you for all these links there, Kim. Really appreciate it. I meant the diameter is 2 pi radius. Yeah, sorry, I've missed this conversation somewhere. I was talking about it before. Anyway, I've made a spreadsheet that calculates weight from PSI. Couldn't link it. No, unfortunately, you can't link them. But you can, Eric, if you send it to my Twitter page, then everybody can have a look at it there. So my Twitter handle is, as you can see on the screen, it's Cheeseman TV. So send the link to the spreadsheet. You'll have to upload it to Google Sheets or something, and do that, and then everybody will have the link. How's that sound? Okay, Asman says, Gavin, long time no see on the live stream. Hope I'm well. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Last week, the reason we didn't have a live stream was because I was at my retirement party from the corporate job. So that was good fun. Caught up with a lot of great people that I'd worked with for many, many years. Narella says, hi, Gavin. What is the disadvantage of putting in too much rennet? What happens, your cheese tends to be bitter after it's matured. It also holds too much whey. So when you're stirring the curds, it doesn't release as much whey as it should. And also can make the cheese very, very crumbly when it is mature. So there's three bad things of putting in too much rennet. Amy says, thank you for your advice on what cheese to start with. I bought the big kit, so I have more equipment and options. All right, so the artisan cheese kit, which is a very popular seller in our shop, that's for sure. Okay, I'll move along, shall I? Amid says, thank you for your videos. Thank you, Amid. My Vizsla, too early for me. Lactose-free cheddar video coming soon. Unfortunately not. As I explained earlier, the lactic bacteria tends to convert glucose and galactose into alcohol, so it won't taste like cheddar. Tutu said, when Portuguese arrived in India 450 years back, they introduced rennet to coagulate milk. One such cheese is Bandel in Calcutta and Dhaka cheese in Bangladesh. Fantastic. Um, that's good information to know. Where are we up to? Steve says, my last few batches have been a tad bitter, especially with short maturation times. I swapped out new rennet, but I am using calcium chloride that's a few years old. Does calcium chloride expire? Not to my knowledge. I have got the same calcium chloride bottle I've been using since 2013, would you believe? So it's 5 years old, and my cheeses don't tend to be bitter. Now, if you do find cheeses with a short maturation age that do taste a bit better, it's another thing can happen is that it hasn't gone through the correct amount of prolysis. I think that's how you pronounce it, which means the enzymes left behind from the rennet haven't broken down the fats and proteins properly. I think it's the proteins. Um, so therefore, you need to age it longer, and that bitterness will go away. Usually, even if it's a month longer, you'll find that a cheese will go from bitter to amazing. It's pretty cool stuff. Amit says, did the Propionic Shamani culture can be made at home? Unfortunately, not. You cannot. It's either in your environment or in the milk that the cows have. Usually, cows from the Swiss Alps have that culture already in their milk. For some reason, it's in the environment there and the pasture they graze on. So yes, that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, not. My Visual hydrometer is used for measuring alcohol. So maybe. Matthew, thank you very much for the kind super chat. I love you, cheesy man. Thank you very much. A lot of love in the room. Ewan says hello from New Zealand. Hello, Ewan. Casey, I wish I lived closer to you. I would be one of your taste testers. Fair enough. There's a lot of taste testers going around, especially furry ones like Holly and Teddy. We haven't seen those. Oh, yes, we did. We saw them on the taste test for brick cheese. They loved it. I gave them a little sneaky piece after the video, of course. Matthew says, if you live near Melbourne, I'm going to come mung on your cheese cave. I don't know about that. I do live nearish to Melbourne. Maybe I should have a meet up because I do know I have lots of Melbourne followers. So maybe a meet up in the city somewhere, one of those cheese cafes. It's a good idea. Just throwing it out there. I'm up for it if anybody else is. Lena says, hi, Gavin. Is it possible to keep cheddar cheese in the room with room temperature about 20 degrees during fermentation period? 20 to 25 Celsius. No, unfortunately not. What happens to cheddar and any other cheese that you hold at such high temperatures is that they start to sweat oil. And those oils and fats you want in the cheese to break down into the lovely flavours that we know and like. So if you mature it at the really high temperature, it just won't. It'll just go oily and it'll go rancid and it stinks. And is not very edible at all. It actually becomes very, very bitter. So you need to keep it down about 13 degrees Celsius so that the lactic bacteria can do their job and convert all the fats and lipids into the great flavours. Matthew says, Gavin, as a level 3 cheese beater, I'm humbled to be in the presence of a level 10 cheese overlord. Cheese joke of the week. Thank you very much. I like it. Dennis says, good day, Gavin. Well, that would be g'day. First time watching the live stream. Which blue cheese is your favourite? It's a toss-up about all the blues that I've made. First Stilton I made was delightful. It's nice. The petite blue that I invented was fabulous. It was like a camembert with blue, but no white mould to be seen, which was good. What else? The farmhouse cheddar blue was absolutely it was flavoursome, fantastic. I think that I reckon that if I had a matured the farmhouse cheddar blue for another 2, maybe 3 months, it would have surpassed all those other two cheeses I mentioned. But I hadn't. I left it for a minimum time. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't do anything. Yes, Kim, we need to do something there. Um, yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. Anyway, George says, is it safe to grow penicillium in bread? Yes, it is. So you can get a little bit of. So actually, all we do is get rye bread, let it start to dry out, and it grows penicillium roque 40. You take a little bit of that. I think you dissolve it in water and get the bread bit out. And there you go. You've got penicillium roque 40 all ready to add to milk. And then away you go. Casey says, would you sell some of your cheese? I would buy some of the triple pepper jack. Unfortunately not. I'm not licensed by Dairy Australia to sell cheese. So sorry, Casey, I can't do that. Okay, down to the last question. What time is it? We've still got 15 minutes to go. Charles said, I'm going to add sharp lipase to queso fresco to boost the taste. At what step do I need to add it? Can I use the M101 culture for queso fresco? Yes, indeed you can. Charles, yes, you can use that culture, no problems at all. And yeah, add the sharp lipase 15 minutes before you add the rennet. So you can add the lipase and the starter culture at the same time, and then and then wait 15 minutes, because normally in the queso fresco recipe there's no waiting between adding the culture and then the calcium chloride and rennet. So leave a gap of 15 minutes, and that lets the lipase to do a little bit of action there, and it allows the rennet to then set the milk as well. You may need to add a little bit between five. It's about 5% extra rennet because you're using lipase. So, yeah. So there's the answer. BWG says 16 times 8 is 128. You could use this for rennet multiplication on cheeses. Yes, you could. Yes, Kim, it's okay. Don't worry about it, love. It's all under control. Matthew, have you put blue cheese over the top of a steak before? Indeed, I have, and a blue cheese sauce on steak is amazing. Even better if you have made the cheese yourself. It's very rewarding. And even sometimes when I've had a blue cheese get away from me, as in I have neglected it and it's become quite runny, it does make an amazing cheese sauce. So, yeah, very cool. Charles says, calcium chloride flakes versus liquid, any preference? Are they interchangeable? No, they're not. You can use the solution, percentage solution of calcium chloride to water is 30%. So it's going to be a 30% solution. So if you've got 100 milliliters of water, you'll need 30 grams of 30 grams of calcium chloride to 70 grams of water. So that's a 30% solution. Yes. And then increase it in steps accordingly to how much you want to make. And then you can add it at the same strength that I added at. Hopefully that helps, Charles. As the man says, off to work. See you next week. See you later. Montana says, what's a super tangy cheese that you can add herbs to it? Here's a good one. Cream cheese or Sherv. Sherv's tangier. Cream cheese is tangier if you leave it hanging in the bag at that stage, so in the bag dripping off. If you leave that for 24 hours, you get a really strong cream cheese. Be fantastic with herbs. Or just alternatively make Sherv out of goat's milk, and which is a soft cream cheese, and that's got a lot of zing to it as well. So a lot of tang to it. So Montana, that would be worth your while, I would think. John says, Gavin, is there any harm in letting cheddar or parmesan age longer than a year? No, none whatsoever. It only increases with flavour. As long as you keep it at around 13 degrees C, it'll last. It just gets better. It's like wine, gets better with age. Tutu says, Kim, who is a better cheese making, you or Gavin? Oh, Kim doesn't make cheese, so it must be me. Who's a better cheese eater, Kim or Gavin? Well, we're about the same. So, Jonathan says, hey, what's up, boss? Not much, Jonathan. Just doing a live chat for cheese people. Thanks for responding to your question. Oh, no problems, BWG. Kim says, never made cheese in life. I'm afraid to. Only room for one cheesemaker in the house. True, true. And Jonathan says, Fave, love your videos, sub long time. Thank you very much, Jonathan. And Montana said thank you as well. Unless people have got more questions, then we'll close off the chat, I think, and we'll finish off the live chat, live stream. Lena says, thanks, Gavin. We'll ask some more next live chat. Thank you, Lena. So we'll close it off. Don't forget that if you're in the market for a curd harp, go and check out that curd harp video, the one that shows the curd harps that Steve sent me. Very similar. In fact, I've got one right here. There we go. In a box. That's the cherry wood version. So if you want one of these to cut your curds with, go and have a look at the latest video that I put up a couple of days ago, I think it was, and you will see that. Now, just on those curd harps, I'm thinking of doing a giveaway for one, because Steve sent me 2 to test, which I did. So I'm going to do a competition, and there'll be more details in a future video on the competition, how to enter it and all that sort of stuff. So get excited about that. Kim's just putting some links up. So for all your cheesemaking supplies, pop over to littlegreenworkshops.com.au. There's also a link at littlegreencheese.com for all the kits and stuff. And have I ever been in a cheese competition, George? No, I haven't. My family are my judges, so I get judged enough. Thank you very much. See you next time. To Montana, Jonathan, and everybody else who was on the chat. Without you guys, there would not be a show. I'd be sitting here looking like this. Very sad. If you want to support me on Patreon, then pop over to that link that Kim put up. You can also go to the little join button down below, or like some other people have been doing, Super Chat, there's a little $sign there. You can always throw some lolly my way, and that keeps the show going as well. And don't forget the merch link for t-shirts at cafepress.com, Cheeseman TV. Steve, can I enter the harp giveaway? Yes, of course you can, Steve. The odds may be ever in your favour. I got that from a movie somewhere. Anyway, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. G'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.